Actually, a couple of comments and questions. First, we are talking about the European citizenship and European as a Muslims. But main question, which Europe? Secondly, when we are doing research on Muslims and Muslim citizenship in Europe, we need to compare some other countries, non-Muslim countries, such as US and Canada. Because these societies are more wealthy society. For example, comparing Muslims in Germany, Muslims in other countries are more challenging for them. So, second thing that I'm going to ask Nadia, the operation with concepts. For example, when you say radicals, I think the main issue in Europe is the authority problem in Islam. Which authority, which define, for example, some leading scholars in the history of Islam, for example, Sayyid Qutb and others with so-called radical and political Islam. And they require to challenge the government. Challenge first, as a Muslim, you have to challenge the government because of pressure of the government. And what I see is that in the Europe, some other part of the country, is trying to be, as a Muslim, to be a more liberal, to be obeyed, to be, for example, we did a research in Cyprus, and most of the Muslim people say that we want religious education, but just go Friday prayer, not 5 times a day. Don't be radical. So it's a kind of European Islamic education. It says that be European citizen, be light Muslim. So this kind of issue, I think, they should take into consideration in operational conception of this. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, if I can take a question out of this is the definition of being radical. So how can we define that? How we come to that, or is it what does Europe want? When if I did a light Muslim or something like that, the Jummah prayer. What is very subjective, but Nadira, but everybody.
Nadira, which Europe?
Nice, easy.
The Albanian one. I mean, Albanian, it's a joke, but it's true in a way. Albanian were always in Europe. When I came to Austria, I never thought about in the 1980s, what does it mean to be an European? This question comes up with time. All of these things which we mentioned, 9/11, 7/7, and all this one. And for me, it was not necessary to think about this, who I was or who I am in the background of nationality. I used from the culture, from all of things which I learned as a child, I used the best one which I need. From the Austrian system, from the Austrian culture, from the Albanian culture. It doesn't matter, I do not define anything. But now I have to do this. I don't really see the sense of this. But the Albanians, I want to say that last, the Albanians were always European, and when I am going to go to Austria, and when I talk with my Austrian friends, I say I was always European. I never was another thing, because I was European.
I want to try to say something. It's not, for example, maybe my duty, but I said yesterday when I pointed something from our curricula where there was some signs that somebody maybe, or these are signs of extremism or radicality. So I don't think that Europe wants, or in Europe they want that the people, the Muslim, go 5 times or once in the week or something like that. But the problem is the perception of the only way they can exist is my way. Everything else, what is far from that, is not true. Is kafir. Even if it's something in the Islam. I mean, this is the thing, or to give place to others to live their own religion. I mean, if we make a definition, then it would be rather something like this than the point of are you praying or are you not praying, or are you The problem is, if I can say just a sentence, a way of how are you defining your religion? What is religion? So, and when we talked yesterday with other people, so I am saying in Austria, not the problem is the Islam that they are talking about, but the problem is the way you are seeing Islam as something that tells the only truth, and just you have the right, and everything else is wrong. Okay, I promised one question. Okay, I will take another question.
So this is a quick comment. My name is Eileen Daly. I teach at a Catholic university in the United States, in Chicago. We don't have the percentages that Nadima portrayed in her school of that kind of extremism, but we have Catholic extremists who would say similar things, but in our idiom, using our language, and the people at the center even the authorities at the center don't know often what to do with them. They try strategies. One of the trends is not to educate them in schools, even in Catholic schools. Educate them instead at home. Because then the parents have complete control over the version of Catholicism that the children get. And then at the other side of Catholicism, we have Catholicism light, which, go to church twice a year, that sort of thing. And so so as a professor, in between those two extremes, I expect spies from the far conservative, the extremist groups, to come to my talks. And when I say something that they don't like, they will report me to the bishop. And I now know that that's just going to happen, and I'm used to that. And there are some on the light side who would say that I'm too Catholic, and I'm used to that. And many of the Catholics would think that I'm a heretic for being here. Many of the extremist ones. And so I just wanted to say, yes, we have this problem too.
Good.
Yes. I can just comment on it that radicalism is not something to one religion. It is a way of understanding a religion, and it can be any religion.
Yes.
So, last, but not least,
if I may, it's Jürgen has just made an English joke about the Iceman cometh. Which is very comments really. I don't know if you have any questions. First of all, about multiple identities. It's a concept that is very key to my heart. And of course, yesterday when the brilliant brain of Hanan Alexander was defining maximal and thick, then I thought, hey, that's a multiple identity. But for me in the UK, I have a number of role models, and the most recent one is Mo Farah, the Olympic runner who won 2 gold medals, second man in history to do. And if you listen to Mo, if you can speak English, Mo was born in Somalia. Okay, he came over, I think, when he was 7, but pretty early on anyway. And when you listen to him now, he is like me and like this boy here. We're London boys, right? And so that's part of his identity. And when he talks and his humour and the speed at which he speaks, he is undoubtedly London. Right? And that's one of his identities. When you see him wrapped in the Union Jack, and then you say, and there is his British identity, and he's so proud, and we're so proud of Mo Farah because of what he's done really in terms of. So that's his British identity, and he's very, very keen on that, and it's wonderful for us to have a runner of his stature. Actually, the third identity is the fact that he's Somali. And he, when in London was on, he was talking about his mother had to walk from one village to another to watch the television. right? And so he's he's got a charity in Somalia and so on and so on. And of course, but his predominant identity, finally, is that he's a Muslim. And when you see him, and he runs and he wins, what does he always do at the very end? He prostrates and kisses the ground. That's not imitation of the previous pope. I mean, that is him actually saying, thank you, Allah, and he manages to hold all those things. And to me, that is an ideal model of the sort of citizen that we must have, where you can be proud of all your identities. Because around all of that, you have the values of Western democracy and the values of Islam, which we argue are completely compatible. So that's my comment, if I may. Now, your school, it's a shame I don't speak German. I would absolutely love to get involved. But there's a parallel, and you probably, in England, 3 years ago, there was a Channel 4 program on a school in Birmingham, where I now live and work, right? And it was quite horrific, because they were teaching the young people, and it's a Darul Uloom, it's the Dilbandi Darul Uloom school, and it became the race hate school with a culture of intolerance. And they were teaching them anti-Jewish sentiments. They were saying things like, you can't be a good Muslim unless you've got a beard. So I'm sorry, ladies, you're all damned before you even start. And then what happened? It was a big television program. And then our inspectors came in. I don't know how the Austrian system works, but the inspectors were like a plague, because you could imagine, because it was an extremist school. The education department asked me if I would go in, and I said no, only if the school asked me, because I was not going to go in as an agent of the state. But the school did ask me, and then to my surprise, I knew the head teacher, and he actually taught the ICE program. And I thought, well, hang on, no, we Muslims can hold two things in our minds simultaneously. But then we constructed a program which really, really works. And there's not time to talk about it, but I can actually send you the documentation, which was a STAR program. And what we did to start with was to address all the issues Islamically head on. And that was one. So there were 3 major sessions. And then in the second session, we looked at the nature of teaching and good and bad teaching, and we looked at the Islamic pedagogy head on. And then the third session, I can't remember what we did, that doesn't really matter. But when the inspectors came back twice, they've now said actually that one of the strengths of the school is its ability to build cohesion. And so moving from that position where it was the rape hate, and my report, I wrote the report as well, actually I'm entitled it From a Culture of Intolerance to a Culture of Love. But that was directed much more at the teachers, who then of course influenced the boys. And now, to my absolute surprise, I'm a school advisor to a Darul Uloom. And if you'd have asked me that I said, Darul Ulooms, they wouldn't let me in. So, I mean, there are models.
Thank you. Thank you very much for these words. Again, I thank to all you for and wish you a nice doing at this really, really hard project. Thank you very much. As I thought, now we don't have any coffee break or something like that, Mr. Adnan. 3-4 minutes, so 5 minutes, 6 minutes, it depends. Thank you. To change this thing. Okay. Thanks.